Next to the stage, we will have an exclusive fireside chat on fueling UK entrepreneurship. 2023 has given us many memorable moments already, including the coronation of a new king in the UK. But a standout shock to us all in the tech sector was the weekend, the 10th to the 12th of March, and the surreal events around Silicon Valley Bank. A mere 13 weeks on, lucky for some, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to HSBC Innovation Banking. The new brand, carefully chosen to reflect the unparalleled partnership between HSBC and what has been in the past and now surely looks set to continue to be the most trusted financial partner to the UK innovation economy, SVB UK. The combined offer of the two is compelling. Through this partnership, entrepreneurs and investors in the UK will be able to access the best of both worlds, the power and global reach of HSBC coupled with the innovation expertise of the SVB UK team. I, and indeed the entire innovation sector, have been big supporters of Erin and her team throughout this process. We're excited to now see what they can achieve under their new brand, driving growth to help them make the UK a leading innovation superpower. Please enjoy this short video introducing their new brand.
Partnership is the difference between potential and success. We understand and support people with pioneering ideas and dreams of a better future, bringing deep sector expertise and access to a leading network of international connections and capabilities. Together, we have everything it takes to reshape our world. Never standing still, always adapting, gathering momentum, backing bold innovators, active partners, true collaboration, empowering positive change for a brighter tomorrow. The power behind the visionaries.
I'd now like to introduce the Right Honourable Chloe Smith, Secretary of State for the Department of Science, Innovation and Technology, to lead the panel discussion that we will have to learn more about the future of HSBC Innovation Banking and what it means for the UK innovation economy.
Good morning. A very warm welcome to everybody joining us for today's panel discussion in the audience and here on the panel. The government has made no secret of its support for the partnership between HSBC and Silicon Valley Bank UK earlier this year. We unequivocally said at the time that the safeguarding of jobs and assets at SVP UK was not just important for the tech sector, but for the economy as a whole. And in recent years, we've seen tremendous investment flowing into the tech sector. Our startup and scale-up scene is thriving as a result. UK tech companies raised near record levels of funding last year worth £24 billion, more than the investments of France and Germany combined. And here at the home of London Tech Week, our nation's capital recently snatched the tech crown from New York with the Smart Centres Index ranking London #1 in the world for developing and deploying new technology. But we know if the UK tech sector is to remain at the top table with the likes of the US and China, then we need to ensure there is a steady pipeline of investment into British firms of every size, from the biggest business to the smallest spin-out. So that's what we in the UK government are committed to delivering, along with our partners at HSBC. And I'm really excited to hear from our panelists today about the many ways we can do that, including, of course, through HSBC Innovation Banking and its positive impact on our tech sector. You heard the introduction in the video, and I'd now like to invite our panel to introduce themselves. Erin, perhaps you go first.
Thank you. Erin Platts. I'm delighted to be here. I'm the CEO of HSBC Innovation Banking here in the UK.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. A very warm welcome. My name is Ian Stewart. I'm the CEO for HSBC UK.
And Jeremy.
Jeremy Hunt, Chancellor of the Exchequer.
Well, my thanks to my panel, and let's begin with Erin, if I may. What does this rebrand mean for the future of SVB UK?
Right. Well, again, thank you so much for the warm welcome. And firstly, a thank you. I mean, it's been a tremendous 3 months. And one of the things that I wanted to do is we would not be here without the support of the Chancellor, the Treasury, Secretary Smith, Bank of England, of course, my amazing colleagues at HSBC, the team, the old SVB team, many of which are here today and also in the offices live streaming. But most importantly, the support of our clients in the ecosystem who really showed up by way of support. And then you saw the relaunch of our brand and our name. And again, congrats to the team who's worked tirelessly over less than 3 months in order to produce that. But what it really means is, I guess, a reintroduction of what innovation banking means to the UK and to our clients. And we really co-sourced this name with the community. And we were really, really thoughtful to make sure it would resonate from everything from early stage innovation businesses to late stage public and private corporates, VC and PE communities, and also that it would resonate globally. So while we're here launching in the UK, this is very much a global brand. And I've got Dave Sabo here today who flew over. He's leading this business for us in the US. David Cohen, who flew over from Israel, building teams in Israel, in the Nordics, again, to ensure that structurally we're creating this platform to bring the best of the old focus of SVB, strictly on the innovation economy, but now powered with the amazing global platform and reach that HSBC brings.
And Ian, how will HSBC be working with the new section to be able to realise the opportunities of this rebrand?
Yeah, look, first of all, we're not new to the sector, which is a good thing, but we think this will accelerate our plans quite considerably. But we've got 3 or 4 things we have to do, and we've got some promises that we've made to the Chancellor and others that we're going to have to, and we want to absolutely commit to, which I'll share now. But the first thing is that we are currently using US systems, so we have to get the infrastructure onto the UK system. So that will probably take another few weeks. Bear in mind, it's been less than 3 months. It was the 13th of March. We signed the papers about 6:30 a.m. But in that period, we've done a tremendous amount of work. So the first thing we want to do is protect what we've bought. And I think a lot of people in the room will like to hear that. We bought this to take it forward in a much wider base, which I'll come on to in a second. But the first thing is protect what we've got, which means support seed funding all the way through to IPO, and we can now do that. So protect. The second thing is to add all the HSBC infrastructure, the products, the global outreach that we've got, bolt that on to what we purchased, and I think we end up with a very, very strong business bank to support the innovation economy. And then the final point there, Aaron's just touched on, it's great to see some of the colleagues with us today, to build the horizontal. I mean, our strapline in HSBC is opening up a world of opportunity. That's what we want to do for both customers and investors. So watch this space. We'll be going live with that very, very soon.
Ian, thank you. And Jeremy, I wonder what your personal recollections were of that weekend. It was an intense time, was it not, on the government side as well as on the colleagues' side?
Well, as I was saying at a breakfast this morning with Erin and Ian, it was actually a very hairy weekend because we had this precious Ming vase, which was the ecosystem that SVB London was sitting right at the centre of, as one of the very few places that was able to bring together private equity and some of our most promising companies with their very unique model. This was a sector, I mean, we've been saying since the Prime Minister and I came into office in the autumn that we want the UK to be the world's next Silicon Valley. And this is a central part of our ambition, and perhaps a quarter or maybe even a third of our most promising companies were at risk. So a lot was at stake. I want to pay tribute to Erin for her leadership in a very difficult period, but also to Ian and HSBC because UK PLC has shown a lot of trust in HSBC, by giving you this very, very precious entity. And I shouldn't say giving, there was a transaction. But I think you did very well out of it, by the way. But you have repaid that trust. And I think what we're seeing today with HSBC Innovation Banking is a really big step forward for the UK as well as for HSBC and SVB London.
Jeremy, thank you. And I know that my department, the Department for Science, Innovation and Technology, was delighted to be able to play its part as a very new entity itself at that time as well, supporting those heroic efforts. Chancellor, sticking with you for a second, as we all know, access to capital is the lifeblood of a successful tech ecosystem. So could you elaborate a little on how government is working with industry to ensure the sustainable ongoing funding of the UK tech system?
Absolutely. And, our starting point is that, last year we were very proud to become the world's third largest tech hub after the US and China. We are aware of two things at the same time. First of all, it's a very competitive world out there, and there are lots of people who are trying to get the tech crown in their region of the world. But secondly, when it comes to the UK, if we play our cards right with our extraordinary higher education sector, our superb financial services, you ain't seen nothing yet. There is incredible potential, and it is exemplified by the people in this room. We're only able to say we want to be the world's next Silicon Valley because of the people here at London Tech Week, and we're very excited about that. But we have to ask ourselves the whole time very searching questions about what it is that we need to do next. And I'd say the biggest single thing that people like you have said to me since I became Chancellor is, over the last 10 years, the UK has become brilliant for startup capital, which never used to be the case. We still need to do better when it comes to scale-up capital, when you're trying to grow a company from being worth 20 million to 500 million. And what happens is the 144 unicorns that we have here in the UK tend to find that they go abroad to get that finance, when here in the UK we have £4.6 trillion of pension fund and insurance industry assets, which it would make very good sense for their pension fund holders if a small proportion of their investment was held in the most high potential industries and companies that we have, which is you guys. And so we're doing a very big piece of work to unlock pension industry assets, which you'll hear more about during the course of this year. And part of that is not just looking at the regulation, which sometimes has stopped fund managers investing in the way that they would like to, but also looking at our mindset, where we have, I think, a better approach to risk-taking in this country than many other parts of the world, but we're still not where the US is. And I think we could still take a longer-term attitude to value creation. And that's something where I think we need everyone's help in changing that mindset into a truly growth mindset.
Jeremy, thank you. And Erin, I wonder if you'd shed some light on how HSBC Innovation Bank will be working with the government to power the ecosystem.
Yeah, thank you, Secretary Smith. I think actually this morning was a great example of that, where we hosted an intimate breakfast. And again, the HSBC Innovation Bank being exclusively focused on all life stages and all subsectors of innovation means that we have an interesting bird's eye view of what all of you need to be successful at every stage of your journey. And in some parts, some of those things there's common themes around access to growth capital, access to talent. But when you're looking at a life sciences company or an AI business or a reg tech or a fintech, the specific needs are a little bit different. So to be that convener of the voice of the ecosystem and take some of the detail and feed that into the government to be able to drive tangible change is a role that we've historically taken, and one that I think is going to be increasingly important. So we can give the detail to help you to continue to make the great change that you're making. And I think on the other side, the private markets, we need to deliver. And that's something that we're really excited about in terms of supporting businesses with the global platform that HSBC brings, with the unique types of financing that the old SVB business did from very early stage companies through pre and post IPO. So I think it's that indirect and direct relationship that probably has the best combination.
Thank you, Erin. And Ian, what would be the broader learnings you would take from this situation and how you would like to see government and industry working together?
Well, I think we both want the same things, which I think is really interesting. And it was great listening to the Prime Minister, because as he was saying what he wants the UK to look and feel like, I was going, that's exactly how I want it to look and feel. But could I just go back a stage to the Chancellor's comment about the trust angle and when HSBC bought SVB that weekend in March, because there's a couple of bits, and I wish I had more time to tell you what happened, but really we bought the bank in 8 hours, and I know people think, oh, that was very quick and all the rest of it. Nobody asks about the quality of the DD we did, but it was a very good bank. We thought we bought a very good bank, and I still maintain that we bought a very good bank. But the thing was, Noel Quinn and I spoke on the Saturday afternoon. He said, look, can we make this work? Because we've been really stupid if we can't really make this work. I said, no, for the next 20 years, we're only going to talk about 2 things every single day: the innovation economy and the journey to net zero, and the crossover. So if we don't do this now, we're probably going to lose 4 or 5 years out of our plan. Let's get behind this, not for today or tomorrow, but for the next 10 years, and really make something special out of it. So I'm really excited about what that could bring. But again, it comes back to, what does the UK give us? The UK is just a melting pot for creativity. It always has been. Entrepreneurs in this country do really well. But you need more than one pool of liquidity. And the Chancellor mentioned it this morning at the breakfast. I think the pension reforms could be game-changing, but it's different things for different times. So we need many pools of liquidity, and we've got a role to play in that as well, both to help investors and customers. But I could not be more excited about the next 20 years in this industry. I think we'll do really well in it.
And how do you see the role between government working with industry and indeed members of the audience? What would you like to see from us?
I'm a great believer in, if you leave it all to the government, A, it's unfair and it's never going to work. It has to be public-private partnership. Now, what I want from the government is clear policies, guide us, and then we should step in immediately. And I don't mean give us 5 years to think about it. I mean step in immediately thereafter to make sure that we put our balance sheets and our capital behind the policies. And they're starting to come. Now, I was on record recently saying, like, retrofitting of homes, why have we got to wait until 2025 to get the guidelines? On retrospective, it probably needs that amount of time to get it right, but then we've got to come in behind that really quickly. There's 29 million homes to be retrofitted, and I hope there's a lot of innovators in this room today who are going to make that, A, cheaper to fulfill, and B, that we can do it at speed.
Thank you, Ian. And Jeremy, same question to you. How do you see the role of members of the audience, attendees at Tech Week, to be in partnership with us in government?
Well, I think you look like what we want the whole British economy to look like in 10, 20 years. You are dynamic, innovative, entrepreneurial, and you're at the cutting edge globally, not just in the UK and Europe. What I would like is to inspire more young people in the UK to understand that this is our future. And I would like to see more British role models so that people at school and university can see how incredibly exciting it is. For example, and I say this as someone who walked the walk, to set up a business in your 20s. There's a lot of people who say maybe wait a bit, get some experience in an industry, get some contacts, and of course that's a very well-trodden path. But there's also a lot to be said for people who take those risks when they haven't got a family, haven't got a mortgage, and can be really bold and innovative with the computer that they have in their bedroom. And so I think we need to inspire people. And I would say that the US does this best, and we can all think about the role models in the US who are the tech titans that everyone knows about. And I think we could encourage so much more of that in the UK if people here, as I said this morning you described it as an intimate breakfast. I think that's an interesting phrase. But let me put it this way. I think if people in the UK were a bit less modest about the amazing things that are happening and told their story a little bit more, that would do what we need to happen to inspire more young people to come forward and really tap into their potential.
Can we have a bit more of that, please?
And I tried to keep the breakfast small, but they were just batting down the doors. Popular guy.
Can I really echo that point? I think from the perspective of my department as well, seeking to take the steps that will make and keep Britain as a science and technology superpower, it is absolutely essential that we can together take that action of talking up Britain. Britain is absolutely open for business, and these are the ways in which it works. We are able to be quite concrete in that today, and I think those are some themes you will see coming out during London Tech Week. Let me go further into the concept of startups and scale-ups, something that many speakers have already touched upon this morning, and something that is, of course, critical in the environment of the rebranded Innovation Bank. Ian, how would you take the learnings from across HSBC to ensure that our UK scale-ups and startups are further supported?
Well, certainly one thing that we anticipate doing, and I touched on it earlier, is that now that we can grow this out globally, and I'm really excited about what that could actually mean, because there are pockets of real expertise across the globe. We operate in 66 different markets. Our job is to open up those markets to people who are looking for investment in and to trade out. And I think if we do nothing else, is if we put this incredible brand behind you to help introduce you to other parts of the world, I think that will be terrific. The second thing, bless you, the second thing that I hope we can do is we're very close to the education system in the UK. I'm a big fan of education, but I have got this question, are we training our people for the right things? So I wrote it down earlier, so I bumped into somebody at our intimate breakfast, and they were telling me that we need prompt engineers. Now, you think you're quite clever about some of these things. I'd never heard the term prompt engineer. So how do you get these people? How do you get the people with the right skills? Now, when I'm interacting with various universities in the UK, I'm going to be asking that question over the next couple of weeks. Do you supply prompt engineers? Because if not, over the next, I would guess, 5, 10 years, it's going to be a skill set that's desperately required. Our job is to help influence that. So, yeah, lots to be done.
That's absolutely right. And Erin, what else do you think we need to do to ensure the success of startups? What is HSBC Innovation Banking contributing to that?
Yeah, a couple of things. And I would say first there's the more technical things, and I think there's the softer things that we touched on just earlier. But on the more technical side, I think, I've been working in this sector and in this country for, over 16 years. And I am incredibly proud of what all of you have built. And if I wind back the clock a decade and a half ago, where we were then versus where we are now is almost unrecognizable on every facet of the innovation economy, from access to capital, to creating and scaling global category leaders, to public and privates working together, the government support of the innovation economy. We have to keep celebrating that, and we have to keep raising the bar in terms of our ambition. Now, on the technical side, I think the things that will allow us to do that and reduce friction for all of you, I think mentioning the pension reform is absolutely massive. It's something that we've been trying to crack as an industry and an economy for quite a while, and we're closer than we have ever been before. I think continuing to not just talk about how we'll support innovation businesses from the early stage, but actually show how we do that through HSBC Innovation Banking, but also the industry generally, which is providing that capital to what people think are riskier businesses, but they're just earlier on their stage of evolution. So making sure that we're maintaining the discipline of working with early businesses and scaling with them in perpetuity. And I think the other thing which Ian touched on, and I think is truly unique, is the UK is an incredible place to start and scale a business. The UK innovation businesses need access globally, right? Regardless of the subsector that you operate in, companies are going international earlier and earlier. And one of the things that I'm most excited about is how do we help you do that with the least amount of friction possible? You've got to focus on growing your business. You've got to focus on building the technologies of tomorrow. we've got to figure out a way to help you to do that at scale with the least amount of friction possible, whether that's the US, whether that's broader Europe. That's something that we've got to get done, and we've got to get that done really quickly.
Thank you so much, Erin. And Jeremy, just turning to you on this final question, how will the government demonstrate its ongoing commitment to starting up, scaling up, and then continued growth?
Well, we're going to do everything that's in our direct control. You know, and we talk about the sort of the technical changes that will help unlock pension fund assets. We're putting hard cash into things like the exascale computing to build up our capacity. But we also want to work with you to make the cultural changes that are necessary. And we still are too harsh on failure and our attitude to business failure in this country. I remember Churchill saying that success is the ability to go from failure to failure without losing your enthusiasm. And that's a good motto for politicians, and it's a good motto for business people as well, because that's how you have the most innovations, the most extraordinary breakthroughs. I mean, two of the most exciting things that have happened this year, for me personally, are BioNTech saying they're going to centre their mRNA cancer research in Cambridge, which I think will be extraordinary in terms of a potential cure for cancer. And Google saying they're going to centre their global AI research at DeepMind in London. And if you combine that with our global expertise in regulation, smart regulation, and what the Prime Minister's talking about with President Biden last week in terms of AI regulation, I think we've got a chance to make a massive difference globally. And, you know, this is a moment when the contours of the world for the rest of this century are being set. And I would like this country to be a force for good in making sure these are set in a way that means that technology can really benefit everyone and defend the values that we all think are so important.
Jeremy, thank you. And can I take your cue there to say that I know that kind of deeply profound point about cancer drugs will be something that's very important to many of us. Many of us will have shared our own personal stories. Many of us will see it in our family and our friends and our companies and our organisations. But those are some of the things that we have the opportunity to contribute to in this agenda, and it deeply excites me, like it will many of you in the audience. So can I thank my panellists for the insights they've provided today, not only on the specifics of the SVB transaction, but also on the implications for the broader tech ecosystem. We have some seriously shared values here to be able to drive out that benefit for the UK economy, for UK public services, and so much more than that. So can I thank Jeremy, Erin, and Ian, and thank you for your participation again as the audience. I wish you a great tech week.